Tonight, the trouble with touchscreens.
Even if it's just off a quarter of an inch, it could throw a vote upper or lower to the other candidate, and you have the wrong selection, and you really don't realize it.
The story of companies that built thousands of new age voting machines for elections all across America with touchscreens that were unreliable.
We were rejecting at a time anywhere from 30 to 40% of the touchscreens that came in.
Wait a minute. You were rejecting at that time 30 to 40% of the touchscreens that you were getting in from Berkeley?
That's correct.
Also tonight, the paper trail.
And I think that everybody's opinion was this 2000 election was going to be our demise because of the poor quality that we put out the door.
Workers responsible for making paper ballots that led to the Florida fiasco of 2000 tell their story for the first time.
It's a sad state of affairs that it takes 7 years for somebody to actually ask the question to the people that might have the answer.
A special investigative report on the machines that count America's votes. Tonight on DanRather Reports. For Heinz Peter, the machines were a high-maintenance headache.
Well, we started out with 2 employees when we were doing a punch card, and when we switched over to the iVotronic, we basically had to triple our staff because the hands-on is just so intense. You know, before you let the machine go out, you test it, you calibrate it, you check the date and time. There's so many things that need to be done before it goes out. It's not like you can just pull it out of the rack, throw it in the booth, and send it out. We have to bring in a team of people that go ahead and cast ballots on each one of these machines to make sure that it's working properly.
And even after all that, there were still problems.
It seems like they'll work today and tomorrow they might not work. You know, I can use 10 of them in a test, and then we'll go ahead and get ready to send them out after the test, and we'll check them just before they go out the door, and we'll find that one is not working properly. So they're just unreliable, in my opinion.
How could machines that had cost taxpayers millions all over the United States be so unpredictable? According to the ES&S, there are 97,000 iVotronic machines in use across the country. Most of us use touch machines every day, from the ATM machines to the latest in cell phone technology. They have to be right. So what was the problem with these voting machines? Our investigation of the ES&S iVotronic took us not to company headquarters in Omaha, Nebraska, but half a world away. What was happening inside the plant? According to this employee and many others, exhausted Filipino workers, rushed production, poor quality.
Bali kasi yun nga, pagka-ship out, kailangan ship out. Ship out. Pag sinabing reject yan, hindi, good pa yan. Yung parang ganun ba, para lang ma-meet yung quantity na dapat na ilabas sa planta. Kahit, pag reject, talagang ginagawa pa rin nila ng paraan para mag-good. Kumbaga, mag-good lang sa kanila, yung sa pagtitest nila, ganun. Ngayon, hindi nila na iisipin kung ano yung mangyayari pagka ginamit na ganun. Kaya parang ganun yung inaano namin na quantity yan, hindi ang quality. Kahit sino naman dun, alam yun.
Maraming bansa na hindi nakakaalam na sa Pilipinas nanggagaling ang voting machine.
Vibar says he worked on thousands of voting machines shipped to the United States with what he says was virtually no testing done on them. Originally, a fraction of the machines underwent a so-called vibration test. And what was this quality control test for machines on which Americans would cast hundreds of thousands of votes?
Sinishake nila yung machine. Kung merong nasa loob, kung may mga components o screw na nasa loob, sinishake din nila kung may umalog.
This manual shake test would have been a joke at any quality electronics factory. But Vibar says that even this crude test was only done on a fraction of the machines. Why? Because, Vibar says, management didn't want to slow down production.
We did a good job here. We followed all the instructions, all the test procedures, but I think there's still a problem with the design. There's still some problem with the design, wherein the reliability is affected.
Your story suggests, Mr. Tuggle, Berquist and Pivot and ES&S all knew that there were potential defects in the screens, it could put the accuracy of the vote by millions of Americans at risk?
Well, I would say, based upon their calculations, that they were all taking a calculated risk that they would not deteriorate any further, and it was very evident that that was a risk they were willing to take.
Florida's Freedom of Information Act is a powerful statute. The act has sometimes been used to compel companies doing business with the state to turn over information to the public they don't want to. Governor Chris thinks the law should apply to voting equipment vendors.
If there is a problem with the machine, obviously accountability should apply. That's just common sense. We're very proud of our sunshine laws, and we think that the company should be held accountable to the extent that it doesn't violate their proprietary protection as it relates to trade secrets of private industry. But, you know, beyond that, as much as humanly possible, we think needs to be transparent, needs to be reviewed, and needs to be available to the public.